Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman, and welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Hi, good evening. Welcome back. I am the host of the show. My name is Jay Rothman. I'd like to introduce my co-host this evening, coming in from Southern California, Josh Richard. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Good to see you. We have yrself Heath, the man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live this evening, yrself Heath.
Thanks as always, my brothers.
All right. And of course, we have rounding out the foursome here, we have Jeff Fasano. He calls Nashville, Tennessee home today. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Good to see you all.
It's great to have the band back together again.
Oh, man, I missed you guys.
As Josh was off doing his solo record.
Well, I tell you, we talked about it in our production meeting on Tuesday. And we all shared with you, Josh, how, it just, there was like a hole. There was a part of us that was missing, and it was you. And so we just, so glad to have you back. So glad to see you. Welcome to your new home. You got a new space. It looks like you got it all set up. You got most of the boxes probably unpacked, at least out of the living room area.
They're just shoved in the corner.
It's okay. It's all right. You have probably 11 months to unpack those boxes.
Actually, Josh is on a green screen right now. That's
not,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
As we wait for our viewers to join us this evening, I do want to welcome our listeners and viewers to the show. Thank you for joining us. If you should hear something that you like or love, with love, please tap your love button on your monitor. So that you could light us up. If you have any questions that come forward or comments, please drop them down into the comment section, and we'll do our best to acknowledge as many of them as we can. Tonight is it's an unusual night because we learned just in the last 24 hours through Facebook Memories that we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. We thought it was going to be next week. So actually 1 year ago today was the first full year. Tonight's our 53rd episode. So we've completed 52 episodes on Real Men, Real Talk Live. And what we'd like to do is just take this moment just to kind of just acknowledge and with humility the work that we have accomplished and the success that we have had in touching thousands of people's lives over the past 12 months. But at the same time, we'd like to create a special episode next week to really invite you, the viewers, into the celebration with us. And so it's going to be, we'll announce it during the week next week, but we're going to have a different format that we haven't quite settled on yet, that will invite more of you in to celebrate and reflect on perhaps some of the highlight reel of the last 12 months of unedited shows that we have done. As we know, it's not about the show, it's about the message. And so thank you for supporting us. For those of you that have joined us early on in the year, we appreciate your consistency and repetition of showing up week after week and joining us either live or on replay. And so guys, how does it feel for you, before we jump into tonight's topic, to be able to acknowledge that we have now been at this 1 full year?
It's
so
crazy.
Beautiful. So beautiful, man. You go, Josh.
I was just going to say, after missing last week, and it was a tough week for me, both personally and emotionally. On my end, I had sort of an emotional downfall after the big push and being out of the country for 4 months. And I needed to sort of just honor that and be in that low space. And when the night of the show came up, I thought there's no way I could possibly contribute or add to the show. And so I decided about an hour before that I wasn't going to be on it. And as much as that hurt, it didn't hurt near as much as watching 6:01 happen on my clock, and knowing that you guys were here without me and I was alone here without you. And we talked about it in our production meeting this last week, at how special this is. And I mean, I cried and got emotional because to have the absolute trust and love of 3 other men in this life is such a treat, and it's so special and unique. And you guys hold no judgment for me as I do for you. And the space that we hold on this show is so unique and so special, and it needs to be cherished. And I too felt a huge hole in my heart last week without you guys. And so I just wanted to open the show by saying thank you guys for making such a beautiful space this last year for all of us to grow. I've grown, I'm sure, just as much as our viewers have, and this space is supremely special for me as well. And so I wanted to start by saying thank you guys.
Beautiful, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, we're not even 7 minutes into the show, and you already got me teary-eyed.
Really?
I neglected to bring tissues to the studio this evening. But yeah,
real men real men
Welcome to Real Men.
you know, they say it takes a tribe, and I'm just so grateful that there's 2 shows. There's 2 times that we connect during the week. There's the podcast, that's Friday nights, but there's our meeting, our production meeting, where we get together, and our production meetings go as long as the show, sometimes longer, because it's really has become a men's group for the 4 of us, and it's where we hold space as we do in a podcast, but it's where it's just, we could record and have twice as many shows in a year, because we show up for ourselves and for each other. We hold space, we have breakthroughs, we laugh, we cry, but ultimately what we have is a space where we honor, we respect, we see each other, we feel each other, we understand each other, we love each other, and we show up for each other no matter what. And it's ironic that it's 1 year ago, and Tuesday night was an absolutely beautiful production meeting. It really wasn't a meeting. It was a time for us to kind of come together, and we kind of were toying around with the subject tonight, what topic we wanted to dive into. And between Ev and I, it became pretty clear pretty quickly what the topic was. And it really hit both you, Jeff, and Josh pretty strongly. And tonight's topic is, you only have one life. Do you matter? And Josh, I'm going to invite you to open us up and warm us up with this topic, based on, if you may share, how those words that Ev spoke in that moment when he said, you only have one life, Josh. And what did that mean to you? What did you hear? How did it feel? And I don't know if you still have that whiteboard. But boy, I don't know, did you refer to it later in the week as you navigated through what you were going through?
I did. I photographed it, actually. I'll find it for you guys. But Yeah, it's so funny in the beautiful universe's timing. I think it was even 2 shows ago, I said something about it. And it didn't hit me. Jeff and I actually connected after Tuesday's production meeting, because we're both in the middle of a big growth period and feeling a lot of things that are coming up, and a lot of them, as Jeff and I often are parallel in our growth. We're similar. And Jeff, you said something that just like rocked my world. It was like, I've been trying to realize, and when there's friction in life, it's either a sign to pivot and change. We're doing what men do, and we're trying to force our will and push through something that isn't, in the plan, or it's an opportunity to stop and say, what's the lesson? What's the gift? What can I get out of all of this? And I've been wondering the last 4 months, they've been challenging in a whole lot of very unique ways. And I've had to to push through some big things. And also there's been friction in a lot of different areas. And I've been trying to figure out what's the common thread? What's the common theme? There's been some friction in relationships. There's been some friction in trying to achieve the big project of the documentary that we were shooting, and so many things changed. Like, I mean, major, including me having to have surgery in a foreign country, and so many major things. It was like, a 4-month period that this trip was, having 1 or 2 of the major things that happened would have been a lot, let alone the 5 or 6 massive things that came through along the way on this trip. And I'm being the open person, I kept saying, what's the lesson? Holy shit, what is this? And I threw out that I felt like I had gone through, what did I call it exactly? Boundary boot camp. I'd been through boundary boot camp in the last 4 months and really had to set some boundaries much, much firmer than I ever had to in the past, in a lot of different areas. And I was like, why is this? Why do I feel like I'm having to fight? And then it hit, thanks to you, Jeff, that and the universe's divine intelligence, it all had to happen the way that it went down. Because had I been home, I would have escaped any one of these major things and found a way to get out of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Not right. I'm out. But because I was on this trip, and because we were committed, and all of this was happening, and it was a big train that couldn't be stopped or really adjusted or pivoted very easily, I was forced to sit in something that I've never been forced to sit in before in my life. And these discomforts grew. And it led to my crash last week, because of the pressure over time and the lack of self-care time I was giving myself. But the major takeaway was that I had to fight for me, the most I've ever had to fight for me in the last 4 months. And Ev, when you threw that out in the production meeting, let's say it again, Jay. Well,
You only have one life. Do you matter?
And I do matter. And yeah.
Take a nice deep breath, Josh. It's okay. Take a nice deep breath here. Take a moment just to pause and allow you to feel it all the way into your heart.
And Ev, I want you to go into what you talked about, the divine you, because that was so beautiful on Tuesday, and you just blew my mind.
Really? Hey, could I just tell everybody how Ev said it?
Yeah.
Go on, Jeff. Fire him up.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hey, Jeff, are you feeling like in this moment you don't matter? Are you feeling like you need to be heard?
No. The thing about it was, folks, is it was great in the moment, and we were looking for something. It was just, I don't know what it was. I'm just trying. And Ev goes, my brothers. It's one thing, my brothers. You only have one life. And when Ev said, it was like, when Ev said that, it was just, I felt it through my entire being. I felt it I felt it so deeply in my heart. Evis is folks, he's got in our production meetings, it's amazing. We sometimes I defer to him a lot. Like, Ev, what do you think about this? And the way he said it, it just hit in it reverberated through my entire body. It was like the voice of the universe coming from Evis. And it made so much sense on an emotional level, on a physical level, and on a spiritual level. It just all came together in that moment. It was amazing.
Well, let me ask.
And I should finish putting the context around it really quick, Jay. Sorry. Was that 2 weeks ago, and that's where I was starting to tell my story, and then I got sidetracked. But that 2 weeks ago, I threw out in the show that I always put other people first, and that was my story as a man, was that I had to take care of the women in my life and had to take care of everybody else in my life, which meant that I put myself last often. So this is the framework around Evis's bomb that he just dropped in the room and threw Jeff and I into a tailspin.
It was a bomb of all bombs.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. You can answer this from your perspective. Look, we know that we only have this one life in this lifetime. It's not like something we haven't heard before. Right. But why was it this week? What was different this week for you and Josh that you heard it differently? Just like in past episodes when we talked about, we had said probably on at least 4 episodes over the past 12 months that love is pain. Love can be pain for people. And it wasn't until the 4th or 5th time that it was repeated in an episode that it hit you. It came into you. You heard it. And you felt it. What is it? Why is it that we could hear something 5 times and it's not until the 6th time that it truly resonates? It's not that we just hear it, but we feel it. What was it this time that was different for you?
Exactly what you just said, Jay. We might all be building up to something. Personally, building up to a greater depth of loving, honoring, and valuing me. And that is what I'm doing. It's what I've been doing for a year. And you get to a place and you hear it one way, you hear it another way. And the thing about it is, folks, with the 4 of us, we have such an amazing, energetic soul connection that we all do drop bombs on each other. And Jay's done it, Josh has done it, and I've done it, and it's affected our lives so deeply. Jay is something, and I can feel it reverberating, and we have such an amazing soul connection, the 4 of us, that we might individually be working on things. We come together, and then it comes to that point where you're ready to hear it, and you're ready to get it. And in that moment when Evis said that, it was like click, 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 and it clicked in my heart and my soul that it was almost like I was blown away. But the way he did it, he said, my brothers, it's simple. And he got my attention when he said that, and then he just threw it out there with and folks, the thing about it is it's exactly what Evis said. My brothers, it's simple. If you have listened to Evis over this year, he's always said it's about breaking down our lives and coming back to simplicity. And all he said was, it's simple. And he just threw out that line. And it was as if he wrote a novel in that line. It all just came together for me. And my resonance and vibration lifted strongly just from the simplicity of what he said.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jeff. Evis Heath.
Yeah.
What are you making of all this?
Oh, my brothers, my heart is just feeling so warm right now because you know what? I was just where my brothers were. You know, we have all been on this journey together from day one, and it really warms my heart up because you know people are listening now. Now I did a video this morning, and I saw a couple of brothers' comments actually in the back end that had mentioned a couple of things about what our topic was today. And I just thought, you know, just in that space, in that time and space in a year, those two particular brothers, how much they've actually evolved, their consciousness, their alignment to self. You know, what we're talking about here, my brothers and sisters, and as Jeff beautifully mentioned, we're talking about alignment, but alignment to what? Alignment to what? You know, we dabble in it, and I know a lot of our woke, our conscious community out there, our brothers and sisters, we know what the I am is. We've got an idea of what that highest self is. That I am, ye are gods. You got to understand, you were made in the image of the gods, whatever you believe out there. Your I am is currently aligning to your body. You know, for far too long, we mentioned this after show after show after show. Ego has been running the show from day one, from those very early days of 0 to 7, when you were shut down, when you weren't listened to, when you weren't heard. Then you took on those opinions, those behaviors, all of those other mindset and attitudes from other people. Could have looked like your mum, could have looked like your teachers, could have looked like your peers or all those other people around you. But it was shut down and it was taken away from you, my brothers and sisters. So from that very point, so many of us have been disconnected, separated from self. So we've come into our adulthood and we seem to attract that separation. Why? Why do we attract the separation that we're actually trying to get away from? You know, these are big questions that we need to answer and that they're coming to the surface now. And when I dropped that the other day and the simplicity of it, it's because when I started to realize some of these behavioral patterns about me and how I was attracting those particular energies back into my life of abandonment, of rejection, of the shame, the guilt, you know, all the big ones. I started to become firstly aware, but I had to become aware by doing one simple thing, and that was to come outside of myself. I started to observe myself from the outside space. If there were things that I didn't like, I started slowly but changing things. You know, like my brother Jay the Rothman says, simple, but it ain't easy. This takes action, my brothers and sisters. But one key element, one key thing for me that has changed the way that I operate through this space-time now is I'm neutral. I'm in 0 point. What I mean by that, I don't give my energy out to this person and that person, that place or that thing. I might share some of that energy, but there's an equal, reciprocal energy exchange. And we've talked about this in show after show after show. So yeah, I know it gets deep, my brothers and sisters, and I know, by the way, just I'm talking, some of this stuff may not even resonate. But what I'm talking about is us coming back home. It's coming back home to self. And the highest version of you, the very I am, the very fabric of your DNA and your soul, your spirit is aligning, if you want the call. Yeah, man, this gets deep, my brothers.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to take a moment here just to acknowledge our viewers that have congratulated us on our 1-year anniversary. Just taking a breather here. I want to thank you for supporting the podcast, for supporting each week that you're able to catch us live or in replay. You show up right on time. And we want to just take a moment to thank you and honor you for supporting the work that we're doing and sharing it out to your friends, to your families, whether you're coming in from Facebook Live or you're coming in from YouTube Live. I want to just thank those of you that consistently share out the program to your friends and family members, even our viewers on YouTube. Bob Phillips, thank you for joining us this evening and making a difference in your community, in your circle of life by sharing it out. We appreciate you so much for making a difference and touching lives by the work that you are doing today as well. So thank you for that. I want to kind of shift gears a little bit here on this topic tonight because we could get sidetracked pretty quickly and easily. I want to put it out there. One of the questions I asked is, how can we take ownership for our life when we just have acknowledged in the opening that we only have this one life in this moment? How can we do a better job of taking ownership? What does that look like? Because it sounds simple. It sounds like easy steezy, but it's not. It's very challenging, especially if you have a background of being one that is either having dealt with some wounds from abandonment, some self-doubt, some self-worth. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I handsome enough? Am I just enough? And maybe even growing up in a home where maybe you got lost. Maybe you were lost in the pecking order of your siblings, or maybe you weren't heard because mom and or dad were not either physically or emotionally available to do what to show up as our caretaker, as a parent, providing the safe environment, providing an environment of nurturing, nourishing, unconditional love and protection for us as young boys. So all of these that I just shared impact how we show up as men today. And so it sounds like, of course, it's obvious we only have this one life, yet we have had decades, patterns and cycles of relationships where we put ourselves second and sometimes even below that. And so I kind of want to put it out there, invite Josh, if you'd like to kind of jump on this. How can we, from what you've learned and what you know, do a better job of taking care of our own self and less focused on taking care of anyone else's needs before our own? Any sense today? Are you ready to jump in?
Yeah. Wow. So much there.
Yeah.
Firstly, it's acknowledging that we matter. And that was a big chasm to get across. And I don't know where my unworthiness stemmed from. I don't know that I know I've explored it a few times and examined it, but I don't know that I've ever figured out what the root was. But yeah, the first is crossing that chasm, that we do matter. And then secondly would be laying down fierce boundaries to protect us. And what that does is that then triggers a whole wave of other things. Fear of, like Jay was saying, rejection, or people not loving you or honoring you. Fear that we could be alone. And that in our fierce attempt at protecting ourselves and standing up for ourselves, that we might end up in a room by ourselves. And so all of those levels of fear. And then, man, we went super deep on Tuesday. It was like, even to the point of it's a selfish quest even to say we put others first. Means that we're actually trying to get something in a codependent style relationship, and that's not giving at all. And so having to accept these levels, and look at things, as Brother Ev says, brutally honest, but without judgment and with love towards ourselves. And then I don't know the healing answer on all of this, Jay. I would say that I'm probably still in it. But I do know the process, and lovingly going through it.
Josh, let me ask you this. Since you have acknowledged you had some type of dark night of the soul, you faced some shadows in the past couple of weeks for yourself. You took some time off, you're back. What has shifted or changed for you that has elevated your state of being? What have you done differently in the last week or two that has helped bring you up from how you were in that low space?
Back for it's tough. I realized that I think I've acknowledged that my bipolar is an evolution. As I get older, I thought I had it pegged, and I thought I was pretty good. And so I think one of the big lessons is that I need to keep working this, and that this is a journey and not necessarily a one-stop answer to fixing it or finding. So for me personally, I've acknowledged some deeper levels that I need to kind of work the problem, and keep diligent and not get relaxed. But I think the biggest thing that maybe you may be referring to, Jay, was I've walked through this this depressive state where I shut out a lot of friends and family, and people worried about me. And but I came out of it this time without the shame. And I don't know what has changed in me, but I'm able to say, you know what, it happened. I'm human. We're all human, and we fall, we make mistakes, and it's how quickly we can bounce back, stand up, dust ourselves off, and say, you know what, I'm okay. And there's always a brighter tomorrow. And so I think in the past I would have this a low period or depressive period would have lasted two times as long by slathering it with a whole bunch of guilt and shame. And and I think that's probably why I'm able to sit here today and talk about it as openly and vulnerably with all of you as well, is that this is life, folks. And especially this past year, a lot has changed for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had to pivot. We've had to change. It's been tiresome. We've been under all new pressures. And as guys, we try and force our way through. And sometimes that breaks things. And so, yeah.
Beautiful. Josh, what I heard you say, if I may paraphrase you, we touched on it on Tuesday night, is I shared with you guys is that how I was able to kind of measure my own progress and growth in my own healing was when I could look at how long it would take me to rebound or pivot from a dark night of the soul or facing the shadows or how long it would take to recover from a very uncomfortable conversation, perhaps that I would have had with a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of those moments when I could realize and see that instead of it taking me 3 months to see it or 5 months, I was now able to recover or rebound or pivot in 3 weeks or 5 weeks. And as I continued to progress in the journey, it was getting shorter and shorter period that it would take me to either rebound or to even have the awareness that something's not right. What's going on? What I also, so that's beautiful that you've acknowledged tonight that your spiral down lasted it was a much shorter window.
Right.
And you pivoted back up into a higher vibration much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. That shows that there's tremendous growth. And that right there is what I would hold on to instead of the guilt and shame and blame. When I could acknowledge that I could see the growth, I would go right to gratitude, from growth to gratitude, because the gratitude is what will then help elevate us to that next level. And the second thing I heard you say was that what's different this time is that you didn't simmer or stew or woe in the guilt and shame of the choices, what unfolded for you in the past couple of weeks. And that's beautiful because guilt and shame will never, ever, ever, ever serve us in any healthy way. It's just a self-deprecating, self-sabotaging, very, very hurtful choice. And it is a choice because the alternative choice is as soon as our mind or our thoughts go right into the rabbit hole of wanting to beat ourselves up for what just unfolded, instead we could elevate by saying, what are the lessons? How do I grow from this experience? And there again, that brings us right back to a much healthier space to navigate and get out of that rabbit hole with honor, dignity, and grace, and love, self-empathy. Most important, what I'm describing, it's about self-forgiveness. There's no room for guilt and shame anymore. Not here, not now, not today, no moss, not in this room. Any of you guys that think you're going to go to guilt and shame and you're going to be able to get away with it, all of us will call you out on it. We're not going to let you do it.
Exactly.
Well, the thing about it is that I think Jay just touched on it, and everybody out there can look at it, possibly using us as mirrors. What's going on in your life right now is Jay just said growth. I don't languish in places anymore when things come up because all of us here, we're working on ourselves and constantly doing the inner work and going within. And by doing that, we're just raising our awareness and consciousness to when in a moment, I'm shaming and judging myself right now. We might do it for a couple of minutes, 15 minutes or something like that. But because we're doing the inner work, we catch ourselves. And then we use our tools. So we're raising our awareness and consciousness by saying, right now I'm shaming and judging myself. That's okay. And then we don't want to even go into judging and shaming that we're judging and shaming ourselves. That we're then going down that rabbit hole. The thing about it is to bring our awareness and consciousness back into the adult moment. And that's where the growth is. That's where I've come to the place that when I find myself going into shame and judgment, which I am the poster boy for, or used to be anyway, that I catch myself and then reach out to one of these guys or somebody else to just bring me back to center and just, become aware. Oh, I'm judging and shaming myself. I'm beating myself up. That's not going to serve me. Now I'm aware of that. Then I make a different choice. The adult knows how to make a different choice in that moment, but it all comes back to what Katrina is even saying right there: forgiveness, surrender to it, and then move into this place of nurturing ourselves in that moment. And that's growth. That's growth, folks. And if you can really look at yourself and look at your life and where you are and see how you're now responding to situations in your life as opposed to reacting to situations in your life and going down the rabbit hole of judging and shaming and wherever you go with it, and see now, oh wow, I did it for a half hour, but I used my tools.
Yeah. Check this out, Jeff. Tracy Smith coming in from Vancouver, British Columbia. By the way, welcome to the show, viewers. Let us know where you call home today. If you're relatively new to the program, welcome. We appreciate you. We see you. We understand you today because you're here. You're joined Real Men Real Talk Live. Let us know what state or country you call home. Tracy Smith says, quit beating the crap out of yourself. Love the crap into yourself. I'll just keep that at face value. I like it. I get it. Thank you, Tracy, for sharing that. Ev, I want to invite you to jump in here, and I'm going to invite you to share. What would you say are there shortcuts to having our best life? What are the shortcuts for us to have our best life as real men having real talk?
Yeah, big question again, my brother. Dope. But, I think what we're talking about here tonight, I think we know what we've all gotten used to up until this point on this planet, and that's been pain. So many of us have been living a painful life. Like Brother Josh said at the start of the show, he's felt pressured. We've all been pressurized really now to really reveal that diamond heart within each and all of us. So one of those shortcuts for me was really understanding what pain was, and then being able to really transfer or transmute that pain into my purpose. You see, one of those shortcuts, my brothers and sisters, where's your direction in your life? We've talked about values and principles. When you have that direction, or I should say that purpose, and you've got those values and principles to back those up, that inner navigation, GPS, the direction is set automatically. It'll align to those values and purpose. And anything outside of that is disconnected, that is not aligned to those values and principles of your true, authentic, divine self, just let them dissolve past. We don't even have to conflict anymore, my brothers and sisters. But to me, one of those things right up until this point that we've all shared, and we can all feel, even just tonight on tonight's show, listen to our brother's story, is that pain has been part of our evolution on this planet. It is who we are as beings to help us evolve into what we have the opportunity and choice to be at right now. So yeah, man, this shit gets deep. And one of those things for me on my journey, my brother, has been pain, but how to make that pain my purpose on my journey.
Yeah. Even thinking that I've got to go, I'm trying to think of a great line. Paying your dues.
Mm-hmm.
Paying your dues in life. I have to pay my dues in life. There's some sort of association with pain in that. I'm paying my dues in life.
And we've all heard the 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Put in your 10,000 hours
Really?
and you'll become an expert, or you'll become successful.
I mean, it
sounds painful.
Really. I paid my dues. I just
work through it.
Oh
yeah, all those sayings. We could keep rattling them off.
Oh man, and it's not about that. I mean, I was taught that, and it's not about that. It's about really asking yourself the question: am I living the life that I always say I want? Folks out there, I guarantee you, everybody out there is saying right now, this is the life I want. And then you could say, this is the life I say I want. Because we're all living right now, based upon where we are in our personal process, the life we want. It's a life we know right now in the evolutionary cycle of our soul path. So then the question comes, am I living the life that I say I want? Because there's a difference right now. And then looking at your life right now and what it really comes down to is really saying, I'm going to now look into the mirror of my life. I'm going to go to the mirror. I'm going to look in my eyes and ask myself, am I living the life I say I want? Being brutally honest with yourself. We're only, as Ev said, there's only one life. And
we've said it time and time again too. Sorry, Jeff, to jump in, but we are what we tolerate.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's simple. And to me, when you get to the point of looking at your life and whining about it or complaining about it, hear yourself. Complaining about a relationship, constantly in that place. I did that. I was the king of whining about my life. And until somebody, I might have mentioned this on the show, somebody popped into and said that to me, and I looked at it and I said, well, oh wow. Somebody held the mirror right up to me and says, Jeff, you complain and whine about your life. What are you going to do about it? It was that brutally honest. And the mirror was held up to me. And then it's about saying, okay, whoa, wait, what am I complaining and whining about? And then looking at your life and saying, what resonates, what doesn't? Taking stock in it and really being brutally honest with yourself to now make choices in your life to have that life that you say you want, and you're always moving towards it, and more than 20 years ago when I was doing the corporate job and I was miserable, I hated my life, and I made a choice at 40 that I'm going to start living. I am no more going to live the life of trying to get my father to love me by doing exactly what he did, being in the corporate world. He said, that's what I was doing. I said, I want to create a brand new life, and I want that life to be my own. And I made that choice, when I quit the corporate world at 40 and took ownership of my life. And then it really took off into a whole new place that was in alignment with my soul's plan.
Beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that, Jeff. We're coming up just about 10 minutes from the hour. Before we go into our closing segment, I want to take a moment here to break it down for you guys. You only have one life. And what blocks us from living our best life is fear. What blocks us from living our best life is self-doubt. What blocks us from living our best life is uncertainty if we will be loved and if we are lovable. And we find ourselves living in trap. We find ourselves living in bondage, whether it be a career, a job, just over broke, a relationship with a friend, an intimate relationship with a partner, a relationship with siblings, parents, employers, employees. Life is about relationships. And what blocks us from living our best life in this life is fear of the unknown. What if? And so we, instead of listening to our inner voice, we listen to our thoughts. Our thoughts always projecting out, if I do this, all of the what ifs will happen. And I found that, I was living that life. I was not living my best life.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was 54, I was in a lot of pain and I was suffering at home, at the office, in friendships, in relationships, outside of the home and inside. And for me, it had to take, facing mortality. I had to face near death to wake up. To literally wake up in a hospital and say, it's enough. It's time for me to show up and grow up and learn how to take care of myself and worry less about if I'm loved or not. Because what I realized is that where I lacked the most love in my life was from within myself. I didn't know that it was possible. I didn't know it was possible. I'm talking about self-love. And the only shortcut that I have found in 6 years now of living my best life is through self-care. And self-care, I'm not just talking about the pampering. I'm not just talking about the pedicures and the manicures and getting a haircut, playing a round of golf with the guys a couple times a month, and maybe getting a massage if you're a woman and a man. Whatever those pampering things that in a moment feel good. I'm talking about the self-care that is profoundly impacting you in your body at your body temple level. I'm talking about writing. I'm talking about meditating. I'm talking about whether it be stretching, yoga, meditation and movement, meditation in sitting or laying, music, hiking, walking, biking, swimming. I could go on and on. Nutrition, drinking water. Part of us feeling like we're not living our best life is that our brain is dehydrated, friends. How many of you are drinking Diet Cokes, Gatorades, Dr. Peppers, coffee, and about 4 to 8 ounces of water a day? It's no wonder we feel down. It's no wonder we have anxiety. It's no wonder we have depression. It's no wonder we have suicidal thoughts. Our brain is lacking nourishment like a dry sponge. It's no wonder we have migraines and headaches. It's no wonder we have thoughts that are negative. The average person has 80% of the thoughts that go through our brain are negative in a 24-hour period. That's research has shown. There's studies out there. The only way to flip the switch on that is we have to show up. We have to take new behaviors to take care of ourselves, to get ourselves, to raise our vibration out of that rabbit hole. No one can do it for you, Josh. No one can do it for you, Jeff. Ev, believe me, I waited for somebody to show up on my life and make me feel better. I waited for that person to show up. And when that person, who was at the time my wife, wasn't able to bring me home, I blamed her for all my unhappiness. And when I wasn't blaming her, I blamed my mom. And what I didn't know was that it was never their responsibility to take care of me. Only my mom's when I was a young boy, but not as an adult. And it was time for me to stop blaming the two women in my life that had the greatest impact on my life for the good, bad, and the ugly. It was time for me to show up as a man, start to take responsibility for my own choices, learn how to express my feelings, not hold them in, not tough it out. I heard that this morning. I heard that this morning on a hike, and it really rocked my world to hear a little boy being told, don't cry, tough it out. 3 times this morning. It pained me. I got activated. I was triggered the whole way home, boy. And it really hurt me because I felt that little boy's pain. That little boy needs to cry. That little boy needs to express his feelings. That little boy in all of us men need to cry. If you want to have your best life, there's only one way there, and it's not through a Disney ticket. There's the best ticket in town. It's called coming home. Yeah, coming home to yourself. And so that's me breaking it down. That's the only route that I could find to come home, to live in the best life. And it doesn't mean like it's nirvana, but you know what? It's the best life I have today because I'm alive. I'm vertical. I'm breathing. I was able to get out on a trail today. I was able to connect with people. I was able to feel and even acknowledge it on the way home. You know what? I really got affected by something I heard this morning because I saw me in that little boy on that trail this morning. That was me. That was my dad telling me to quiet it down and stop crying. No more. No mas, not here, not today. It is time for us men to grow up and start learning how to take care of ourselves and start learning how to set boundaries for ourselves. And it's our responsibility to teach people how to treat us. It's no one else's. No one's going to do it for me. Believe me, if I could have, I would have. And so it's that time. I want to invite each one of you guys. I'm going to mix it up tonight. I'm not sure. I'm going to know in a moment here whether we're going to musical chairs is basically where we each are given 2 to 3 minutes at most. I'm going to, most of the time, put you in solo window. And I'm going to either ask you a question or, I'm going to mix it up tonight. I want to come out on a high note. I hope that you as the viewers and you men really heard what I said. And sometimes I get really passionate when I speak, especially when I've been affected by how moms and dads show up. And I get to witness it today as an awakened man. And it touches me at my heart. It hurts me to see how we continue the cycles of what our parents taught us and our grandparents taught our parents. It's just a generational thing. And it's time for us to break the cycle and stop abusing and teaching our men, our young boys, what's acceptable behavior because you're boys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We need to wake up.
Mm.
But here's what I want to do for the musical chairs this evening. Being that it is a 1-year anniversary show, next week we'll do a 1 anniversary year show. But I'd like to invite each one of you guys to just kind of reflect back in this moment tonight and either share from your perspective, what has Real Men Real Talk, how has it changed your life? What has it done for you? What have you learned about yourself and or other men that you didn't know before you became a co-host on Real Men Real Talk Live?
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
I think we have to do another hour.
Josh, you're up first, my friend.
I'm up first. All right. It's easy. It came out on Tuesday when you guys expressed in our production meeting. I don't think I'd ever been truly missed. I don't think I've ever been fully seen.
Mm.
I don't think I've been able to express love and feel genuine love back as much as I have between you guys.
Mm.
And I've never felt safe enough to express those deep, dark things that we do share here on the show. And I often forget there's other people watching. But that's what Real Men is to me. And to show me that men can have this with each other, for each other, in such a loving, supportive way. Just that the unconditional love that you guys show me, that all of you, our viewers as well, and I give it all back in droves. The space that's here in these 4 global walls. I guess there are no walls. It's a sphere. That's special.
Mm.
And that's rare, and that's unique, and I love all of you. So thank you for showing me this love. Yeah. All of you guys, every one of you watching.
Love you, brother.
Love you guys.
Josh, I just want to
Beautiful.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing up. And you've had a heck of a year. Not only the last 4 months, but also if you think back, you stepped into a bubble back in the last 12 months in 2020 when you had to make a decision if you're going to step into an unknown for Shark Tank. You had, if you were going to be employed for the next season, you had to be willing to basically live in a bubble where you were isolated from Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And for 3 months or so, be in a very, very isolating, confining environment with your crew. It was a bubble in the Southwest of the United States. And that in itself, there was a lot of unknowns going into it. And you have faced, you faced the bubble, you faced traveling internationally to 2 countries that you had not been to. having emergency surgery. I mean, we could go on and on and on. But it's no wonder that, it took its toll and it caught up. And it always will. We can run, but we can't hide. And I think you've acknowledged tonight that you're back.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important words I want to share with you is I just want to thank you, Josh. You are just an incredibly, absolutely beautiful man. I adore you. I love you. I see you. I feel you, and I understand you as a man, as a brother, as a friend. And I am so grateful that you are part of this panel, part of Real Men, Real Talk Live. And thank you for being here this week. It means so much to all of us.
Yep, 100%.
Jeff Fasano, you're up, brother.
Well, I thought Evis. You were going to pick Evis.
Well, I didn't want you to feel left out, so, and especially since you and Josh have really, you always tend to kind of identify with each other in so many ways. I thought it would be just appropriate for you to be right here, right now. So it's your time. What have you learned about how have you changed in the last year from a year ago today when we did our True First show, launching the show? What have you learned that you didn't know about yourself and or about other men?
I don't think it's about, I've learned so much. To pinpoint something that I've learned, I'm not the same person that I was in the video, Jay, that you put up today of our very first show. I am just not that person. I look back at the year, and I even thought about it today. We came on the air right at the beginning of this whole global pause. And it's fascinating and we always ask the question, and how beautiful it was that we started doing this show, because we were in this pause that allowed people to start moving inward. And my dream, like you had a dream, Jay, was to always bring this work of what we do as men to other men. It's been a dream of mine to do a group and be in a group setting with just men, so men could see that it is safe to go within. When Jay was just talking about being on the trail of and hearing a father say to his son, get through it. Man, the terminology of man up, just it infuriates me. Man, what does that mean? And what you're seeing, folks, with us, and what I learned something every single show from these guys. Every single show that we do, I'm learning something new about myself, about growing within myself. But I just want to go back to the very beginning of this, because what I cherish about this was when Jay asked the three of us to be on his show. We didn't know each other. We all knew Jay. I didn't know Josh. I didn't know Evis. And after we did that, I felt the soul connection. I immediately felt the deep soul connection that the four of us have. And I knew that when we came together, that we had something very, very important to do, something very important to share with the world as men who have worked on ourselves, who can cry, who can nurture, and we're still men. But I knew in that moment, guys, I said it after, we have something here. And then we did it again, and then we decided, and what I cherished most was coming together, the four men, feeling this soul connection within my heart that we have, and creating something together where we can really share our hearts and create this safe space, not within the four of us that Josh mentions, but then demonstrated or mirrored back to the world out there, to other men, to know that it's not about manning up. What the hell does that mean? It's about, as Josh just said, and Jay just said, nurturing that boy, that it's okay. And I really feel what's so precious to me is that we're not only talking about it, but we demonstrate it to everybody out there. So you can see the mirror, that you can see guys can infuse the feminine energy in ourselves and come together and infuse that masculine energy, heal it, and come together to create what we're bringing to you. And we hold a space for each one of us, and we're holding the space for men to know it's safe to do this. And we're being mirrors for that to the world. That touches my heart so deeply. And I know, and this might be self-aggrandizing, real men, real talk, but what I know is what we're doing here, there's not that many men in the world doing what we're doing. And it's so fulfilling every Friday night, every Tuesday night to come together with these guys who do the work and who share their hearts, so we can be mirrors out there for men, but also give a glimpse to women that these guys are real, they're honest, they're vulnerable, they're coming from their heart space, and we care about you. So I don't know if that's what I've learned, but that's how I feel.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, brother. Wow.
These guys touch my heart, folks.
Same, Jeff.
Love you, brother.
Jeff, what's coming up for you right now?
Oh, so much gratitude and love, of growth, of coming into a place in my life where I am loving myself more deeply than I ever have in my life. A lot of it has to do with what I learn here every Friday night. And being with these guys. I mean, it's just so much love and caring and gratitude that for you guys and for what we're sharing in the world. I'm just feeling my heart is opening so much.
Yeah.
Beautiful, brother.
Jeff Fasano, you only have one life.
Yep.
This life. And you do matter. You're an absolutely beautiful man who shows up and has showed up every single week with an open heart, a clear mind, honest, vulnerable, and ready to receive and to give. And I don't know if we have been keeping score, because this isn't a game here, but if we were keeping score, guys, if we were to say, who do you think has had the most breakthroughs live on air between the four of us? Who's that man right here, right now? What would you say? You think, Josh? You think it's Josh? Yeah.
I might be a close second.
Hey, I was going to give it between Josh and myself.
Yeah.
Hey, well, at least the brother's been open about it on air.
It's definitely, I haven't kept score. I stopped keeping score when I was at the end of my marriage, because I learned that keeping score was just a precursor for a resentment. But in this regard, it's absolutely beautiful. I think, Jeff, you definitely had many, many breakthroughs and many, many moments of tears of just absolutely pure gratitude. And it's just absolutely, if there's nothing else that I have gotten from having you as a co-host on this show, is you absolutely have been an incredible role model for other men that have questioned, is it manly? Is it okay? Am I safe? Am I lovable if I show my vulnerability? And you are no doubt on this show, I think, the poster man, the poster boy for showing up each week. And thank you. I love you, brother. I can't wait till next week. I don't know how we're going to top this one here.
I was thinking about it should just be silly and wacky. We should show up in costume, like anything goes. We should just like let fun be our guide.
Anything, Josh? Oh, look out.
Hey guys, it looks like we're going to have some competition. Karen Demick of Democ, coming in from Canada. Thank you for joining us this evening. She says, "Hey, Mary Kelly, we need a real woman, real talk." So we may have to have a face-off maybe once a year. We could get all 8 of us in the same show together and kind of come together. But Abigail says, at the very least, I'm smiling from ear to ear. It's my favorite hour to catch on Facebook. Abigail, thank you so much for being really, really being one of our top fan badges. I know you've earned one. You show up almost pretty consistently every week. If we would show up as consistently for ourselves in our own lives as we do for binge watching a favorite TV show or a cable news show or even Real Men, Real Talk, we would be in such a better space than we may be today. And so it's just came to me as like, if we could practice creating new rituals every single day for ourselves, utilizing things that make us feel better. When I say make us feel better, that bring us more joy, more calm, more stillness, more ease, more self-empathy, more self-compassion, more self-love, we would be a healthier world to live in today with more love and kindness. So I invite our viewers to continue to show up, not only to support the work we're doing and the podcast, but to show up for yourselves each week, each day, as though it is, in fact, could be the last day of your life, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So Ev, what has happened for you this year? How has your life changed in this year? In a just brief closing, just to honor tonight's show. And if you want to kind of just piggyback on, you only have one life, you do matter, that's okay too. It's your time, right here.
Yeah, I think we talked about it tonight well enough. But one of those examples, and my brother, Josh and Jeff, that was absolutely beautiful, man. Like I said, that it's always warm listening to my brothers. My heart warms up for each show, and has for the whole year that we've been together. And one of those examples of when you do start to see changes, which many of us, like my brother Jay was mentioning, fear of actually, having within our lives. One of those very beautiful examples that you see that changes are going on is that when men get together and they're able to speak in a round circle like we are tonight, like we do each week, turn up and show the vulnerability. One thing for me, I've always shared this. I've shared a couple of times that I was never really probably given the perfect role model of what a healthy masculine was. and to, really be a part of this beautiful, like I said the other day, soul family with my brothers here and my sisters out there in the community is something that it's shown me that it's possible. So I think one thing for me that's really brought to my awareness is that the sacred masculine does exist.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing, it really allows, our viewers, which I've got to really remind and mention to our viewers, that 80% of our viewership are females.
Mm-hmm.
And how beautiful that we as men can now demonstrate, like Brother Jeff said, and be the example for our women that it is possible that there are healthy men on this planet. So to me, showing that love, that gratitude, and being able to honor and be a part of this soul family with 3 other brothers across the other side of the pond is just absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, like I said, I never really had those role models. I found myself in really, some tough situations and events. And when I was able to address a lot of those things, I started to align into that purpose that I was talking about at the start of the show. When we start to align that, we start to live out our best life, and we start to live that one life that I keep talking about. And like I mentioned, one of those examples is that you will start to see your soul family turn up.
Mm.
So one thing for me, my brothers turned up.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one special thing for me.
Mm.
And, being able to share that love, that gratitude, and the vulnerability and the strength that is really yearning on this planet right now to show our sisters that this is possible on a show like Real Men Real Talk Live.
Mm. Mm.
Ev, if I may ask you, tell us one thing that you learned about yourself that you didn't know prior to joining the show. What have you learned?
Beautiful question. And that's the thing, that it's okay to be vulnerable. I hid behind, like I said in my story plenty of times, I've hidden behind my body. It was built to protect me.
Mm.
So I've now been able to take off that mask and not be able to live there behind that body and think that, I'll have to hide behind this body all the time. Because one of those originally things for me was a protection. It was a suit.
Mm-hmm.
So that beautiful gift to us as men of being able to open up vulnerability and be able to share our emotions freely, expressively, and authentically has been something really big within my life.
Mm.
Love you, brother.
Mm.
Love you.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, brothers, much love.
Mm.
Ev, I'm going to invite you to ask me a question right here, right now.
Ooh, look out. Look out.
All right.
Jay Roth the man. Brother, when I first jumped on the show, we had a couple of interviews with each other, a couple of chats, a couple of spiritual smackdowns with each other on each other's shows.
Yeah.
You've had some beautiful guests worldwide, come onto your show, and you're just such a special person. What is it about Josh, my brother Jeff, and me that allowed you to invite us into the Real Men Real Talk Live?
Mm.
In life, we meet people every day. We meet strangers. And life, as we know it, is full of seasons. Many of us live in countries where we have 4 seasons, 3 seasons. But when it comes to relationships, we find some relationships are short, some are long. But what defines a relationship as intimate is when you feel a spontaneous connection. Now, as an unawakened man living in society, chasing the dream, corporate America, I had no idea what I was feeling. I didn't have an understanding of what was behind that feeling. There is a few men that I met in my younger years that I connected with, but we never, ever truly connected in a profoundly deep way. It was very much at the surface level, like how I showed up, at least in my man-to-man relationships. But as I began to awaken and started my journey of coming home to forgiveness of myself, to love for myself, to understanding of myself, and ultimately coming home to that little boy inside that was waiting 54 years for me to come home. Through that process, I started to meet people and have profound connections because I was willing to open up my heart, my soul, and begin to trust, something that I lacked from the time I was probably in that crib. To trust myself and begin to trust others. And unknowingly, through the original show that I had launched, Real Men, Real Talk Raw, the interview platform, I felt an attraction to each one of you guys. Instantaneous attraction. There's only one other man that I had on, two other men that I had on over about a year and a half, more than one time. But all three of you, we either interviewed each other or had you on my show multiple times. So that was a long answer. The shorter answer is that it was a instantaneous, spontaneous, soul-to-soul connection. I saw you, I understood you, and I felt you as not as a man, but just as a person, as a human being, as a man with a heart, a soul. And in some way, somehow, I really fell in love with you guys as a man. And I just had a knowing when the universe spoke to me and suggested that it was time to change the format and make it more of a co-host, a talk show, podcast talk show. I knew exactly who it would be. I didn't have any doubt. I didn't have any uncertainty. I didn't have to choose. I didn't have to put anyone on the sidelines. It was an unequivocal knowing that you were the right men to step into the studio and work together to create Real Men, Real Talk Live. And that is truly what part of coming home is about. It's about trust. Learning how to trust your intuition, learning how to trust your gut, and then having a willingness to trust others. I have trusted you from day one. And even as we have navigated through the ebbs and flows of life over the past 12 months together and faced challenges, I don't feel like we have ever let each other down.
Mm.
We have been here.
Mm.
And that, for me, is what life is about.
Mm.
That, for me, is what living this life is about.
Mm.
And so with that, I want to take a moment to thank our viewers and listeners for showing up tonight, for supporting our 53rd episode. Next week, we are going to do some kind of celebration. We'll put it together. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen, this evening. I love you guys. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, you may have heard some things that are kind of uncomfortable for you to hear men say that we love each other. But maybe that's you showing up right on time. Maybe this is the gateway for you to begin to trust and learn that men can be trustworthy and we can love each other in a loving, kind way with honoring and respecting each other. I hope we see you on another episode. We will see you next week on Real Men, Real Talk. Peace and blessings. Love you guys.